What if I told you? The true empire ruling the modern world doesn't have armies, borders, or even a flag. It doesn't conquer through force, it conquers through numbers. Numbers printed, borrowed, and owed. Every country on earth, rich or poor, capitalist or communist, is part of it. Every citizen, whether they know it or not, serves it, and yet almost no one can see it. This is the story of the hidden empire, an empire built not on land, but on invisible debt and endless interest. And once you see how it works, you'll never look at money or freedom the same way again. Section 1. The Origins. When money stopped being real, to understand how the hidden empire came to be, we have to go back far before Bitcoin, before Wall Street, before the first dollar was ever printed. The story begins in 1694, in war-torn England. The British crown was broke, drained by endless wars in Europe. And that's when a group of wealthy merchants offered a solution. They would lend the government money, if they were allowed to create it. That agreement created the Bank of England, the world's first central bank. It was a simple idea, but a revolutionary one. Instead of the king issuing money backed by gold, the bank would issue debt-backed money, paper promises created out of nothing, lent to the government with interest. From that moment on, money was no longer wealth, and debt, unlike gold, could be infinite. Every pound, every dollar, every rupee printed after that was born as someone's liability and someone else's interest-bearing asset. Section 2. The Rise, how debt became a weapon. As empires expanded, so did the system. Banks began issuing loans far beyond their gold reserves, a trick later called fractional reserve banking. They discovered something powerful, so why not lend out 10 times more than they actually had? Governments borrowed, and the more they borrowed, the richer the banks became, not because they produced anything, but because they owned the system that created credit itself. By the 1900s, debt had replaced gold as the engine of global growth. Then came 1913, the turning point. A private banking consortium, not a government agency, gained the legal right to issue U.S. currency. The world's strongest economy now borrowed its own money, with interest. Section 3. The breaking point. The illusion exposed. The first major crack appeared in 1929. The Great Depression wasn't just a stock market crash, it was the system's reality check. Too much debt, too little gold. The illusion collapsed. In desperation, the U.S. government banned private gold ownership in 1933. Citizens had to hand over their gold to the state, in exchange for paper. Why? From that day, money became pure trust, backed only by promises and faith. Or, as some economists quietly admit, backed by nothing. The invisible empire was now global, every nation tied to a system of credit, interest, and ever-expanding debt. Section 4. The Fallout. Debt as a way of life. Debt stopped being an emergency. It became normal. Families borrowed to live the lifestyles their wages couldn't afford. By the 1980s, even developing nations were trapped. The World Bank and IMF offered rescue loans to struggling countries, but behind every loan came conditions. Cut spending, privatize resources, deregulate markets. Meanwhile, in the developed world, the financial elite turned debt itself into a product. They packaged mortgages, student loans, and credit card debt into securities, selling the illusion of endless repayment. Until 2008, when that illusion finally burst. The system didn't fail, it functioned as designed. The hidden empire had proven one thing. Section 5. The Failed Fixes. Printing the problem away. In the aftermath, central banks unleashed quantitative easing, a fancy term for creating money out of thin air to buy financial assets. They said it would stabilize the system. Meanwhile, real wages stagnated, and the cost of living exploded. To keep it alive, interest rates were driven to zero, and even below zero in some countries. To keep it alive, interest rates were driven to zero, and even below zero in some countries. In 2020, the pandemic struck. Governments printed more money in a year than they had in the previous century. Trillions were created, but nothing was created behind them. When money itself is built on promises that can't be kept. Section 6. Modern Parallels. The new form of control. Visual digital screens. QR codes, CBDC concepts, crypto logos fading in and out. Today, the next phase of the hidden empire is already taking shape in digital form. Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, promise faster payments and traceable transactions. But behind the marketing lies something far more powerful: total control. Imagine a system where your access to funds depends on your behavior, your carbon score, or your social compliance. Sound dystopian? We are borrowing money that doesn't exist to pay for money that never did. Section 7. The pattern repeats. History shows the pattern clearly. Each crisis makes the elite stronger, the average citizen weaker, and the illusion deeper. If people ever stopped believing in the numbers, the empire would vanish overnight. Section 8. Takeaways, warning, and call to action. So, what can we learn from all this? First, money is not wealth, it's debt. Second, the system survives by keeping you in motion, working, borrowing, consuming, but never truly free. Third, knowledge is the first step toward escape. Once you understand how the empire operates, you can begin to build value outside its reach, through real assets, self-education, and independent thinking. But the warning is this: and unless people question the architecture now, the hidden empire won't just rule the economy, it will rule reality. The world believes debt is normal, yet more powerful than any that came before. If every debt has a creditor, who really owns it all?